Hi, I'm Beverly Enos, and this is Spotlight Georgetown. You can find us Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. on your local cable station. If you'd like to become part of this, if you would like to learn how to use the cameras or learn how to use the editing equipment, they've got the greatest toys down here. If you're into computers, this is the best place to come to play with all the computer toys. Now, you can also come and be in the hot seat if you would like to do that. If there's someone that you think would make a great show, would like to talk to us, would like to talk to Georgetown, please let me know and we'll make sure that it happens. Now, today we're talking to Karen Tyler, and she's the Director of Veteran Services for the Eastern Essex District Department of Veteran Services. Big title.
Yes, it is.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Now, where are you from?
Okay, so I grew up in Waltham, but I live in Wakefield, and now I'm in Essex County.
And
So
your office is in which city?
It's in Ipswich,
Okay.
but I have 8 towns that I cover.
Which ones?
Okay, so Georgetown, Ipswich, Essex, Hamilton, Wenham, Newbury, West Newbury, Raleigh, and Essex.
Okay. Boy, that's a lot of towns.
It is. I'm called a VSO, is short for my title. And most have just one per city, but if it's smaller towns, we can create a district, which is nice.
And all the ones that you mentioned are smaller towns.
Exactly.
Right. So, but that means do you still have the same amount of people that a larger city would have? Do you know about how many people that you actually work with or handle?
Sure. So with the 8 towns together, it's about 54,000 people.
Ooh, that's a lot of people.
Yes.
I didn't realize there were that many veterans around.
No, I'm talking population.
Population, okay.
Right. That's how they make the decision.
All right.
They base it on population.
Now, what is Veteran Services?
Okay, so Veteran Services. So there's kind of 3 levels to veterans benefits. All right. There's the local, state, and federal. My office handles. You can kind of consider me like a liaison. I help navigate through the different benefits at each level. The main one that we deal with is Chapter 115 benefits, which is it's split local and state level benefits.
Now, what are those?
So Chapter 115 is for low-income veterans, spouses, widows, and dependents. And so it's a supplement, so there's 3 categories, and you can qualify for all 3. The first one being an income supplement. So if you're low income, it might give you additional monies to bring you up to a certain threshold. And then there's also medical reimbursement to help with medical costs. It could help you with co-pays or your medical insurance. You could get reimbursed for your Medicare, things like that. And then the third one is fuel assistance. So you might
Now, is this for all veterans?
No, you have to, there's a qualification, they base it on things such as rent, medical expenses, if you have to pay for your own fuel, those types of things. Okay. So there's certain criteria that they take into consideration, and from there they'll spit out a number and tell you what kind of things you qualify for.
So it also gets based on income ceilings and things like that?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. All right. Like most of the programs that are out there.
Exactly.
But specifically designed for the veterans. Now, are they similar to the other state programs, the federal programs, or, why would somebody do the program through this service as opposed to just going to whatever service, community action or something, to get fuel assistance?
Okay, so you can get both. So this is so this is to help, like I said, the veterans and the, widows or whatnot. And so I think that if you're in a situation where you're low income, you want to try to take advantage of whatever is out there, whatever benefits you can get. And so this is another level of benefit. So we just, in Massachusetts or anywhere, if somebody's in need, you want to get them as much help as you can. And so, maybe diversifying, what's out there can help on many different levels.
Okay. Disabilities. Does that come into play when you're looking at things like this too?
So if a person has their own disability or service-connected disability, well, actually both are taken into consideration.
Okay.
So, say somebody's on, Social Security disability, when we are looking at the criteria of getting on Chapter 115 benefits, we take that income into account, but a lot of times if they are on disability, it is low income. So after we put everything in, we'll figure out where they're at that point.
Now, would housing benefits, things like that, come into effect too?
Yep, so you can go to, through HUD, you can do Section 8 and things like that. So they look at how much you're paying in rent.
Okay, so that all that works in.
Yep.
Now, there are trends in the VA benefits. What are the trends that are happening, or what has happened?
Well, so some of the trends that are going on is we're looking at, if you want to do it by like generations,
Sure.
Most recent veterans that are coming out, a lot of times they're looking for, they tend to, be younger, or if they have families and stuff, they're looking at, education benefits or home loans. They're looking to get into the VA healthcare system, especially if they're just getting out in that transition period where they haven't, gotten benefits through a job yet and things like that. So, and the other is also service-connected disabilities. So we would help with that if you have a service-connected disability and you're applying to the VA for that. That is something that I can help navigate through. Unfortunately, we're in a time where a lot of soldiers are coming out suffering from PTSD. That's something that we can, get resources for. So that's one thing I'm thankful of, is that there are a lot of resources out there. So I want to connect them with the right people.
Now, you're talking about the ones that are coming out now. What about the ones that have served in other conflict times?
Yeah, so what I'm seeing with Vietnam vets is, again, is service-connected disability. The most common I see right now is for hearing or tinnitus. So, if there is a connection, depending on what they did while they were in the service, so if you were a tanker or artillery or something like that, and then, later on, your hearing might be aggravated from something that happened while you were in the service. If you can make a connection between the two, we might be able to, and you can show that to the VA, they could help you with hearing aids or, a disability, things like that. That's a popular one that I'm seeing a lot of. Also, they're recognizing Agent Orange and also Camp Lejeune. So there's different, things that you can look at. If you have a certain disease or something, that's something that, they look at, and to see, they'll give you testing or whatnot.
Okay, so if it was something that the disease was connected to Agent Orange, or some of the things that were going on, what about some of the older, of the elder vets?
And so for like Korean and World War II vets, they're on a fixed income. A lot of times it has to do with medical issues. There is a benefit out there. It's called aid in attendance. So like if you were in an assisted living or a nursing home, again, there are certain criteria, so that's something that I'd want to talk with you more about, hear your story, so that way, we can figure out where you're at in the process. But that could be a supplemental income and a help with if you have high medical expenses. That's something that we would look at.
Okay, now things like, veterans license plates, or some of the non-medicals, the more social or different types of things that go on. Is that something that people will talk to you about?
Yep, absolutely. I have a lot coming in. So you can get your veteran license plate, and now they also have on your driver's license, which a lot of people don't know yet. You can get an insignia that says that you're a veteran right on your driver's license. So you can use that if you go to, different stores, or if there's a place that give veterans discounts, you can show them your driver's license, which makes it a lot easier. So both those things you can get at the motor vehicle, and you just bring your DD 214. They'll look it over and they can do that from there.
Now, what about death benefits or things like that?
Yep. So in situations like that, again, you would come to my office. We'd talk. There's so much paperwork. Anytime you're dealing
with the government,
exactly, and everything. So and it's hard to navigate through, and especially you doing it your first time, and especially if you're in a situation where you are dealing with burial or death benefits. I mean, it's very emotional, and so I don't want anybody to go through that alone. So I definitely, come in, I'll help you through the paperwork, I'll fill it out with you, make sure everything's in order before it goes over to the VA. Because if it gets piecemealed in there, it really gets, it can really, take up a lot of time. Unfortunately, I think they're doing better now, but it is a process, and it does take some time to get anything, back from the VA. But they are doing better, so I'd like to say that.
So if a veteran dies, what benefits are there available for them, even?
Well, depending on whether or not they have a service-connected disability, that's a big factor in what a spouse would get. And then
like survivor's benefits. Okay.
And then there's burial benefits, and so that's something that that you could go through the state and the VA. There's different forms that you would need to fill out. Also, there are
benefits for any vet burial benefits for any of the vets that have served?
Well, that's something that I would have to look at and stuff. So that way I would speak with the family member, the next of kin, and we would go over that together. You can also get either a marker or a medallion to identify at your burial place that you were a veteran.
So the markers that are like this big, what information what information should the families gather now while the vet is still alive, so that when this happens, it's not 3 months or 3 years down the road before something is in place?
Right, okay, so one of the most important things I want to say to any veteran and their family is there is a form, it's called the DD 214, which is your discharge papers.
Okay.
Find it.
Find it.
Okay, so exactly, go through your files. You can drop off a copy at my office, so that way I have it on file, so that way your family member isn't looking for it at the time that they need it. Make sure that your family members know about it.
And this would be the original.
Yep, and I can make photocopies of it, which is fine.
If you mail it in?
Yep, I can receive it by mail.
Okay.
And if you don't have it, contact me, as soon as possible, so that way we can order one. Because the last thing you want to do is look for this stuff in the time that you need it. So. If you can do that ahead of time, and if it's in regards to burial benefits, you would work with the funeral home, and they are familiar with it also.
So they would get the discharge papers to you, and you would take care of
your
end of the paperwork.
Exactly.
And then pass it back to the funeral home. Is that how it goes?
No, and at that point it would go to the government.
Okay.
So, so when you're with the funeral director and you're taking care of, all that paperwork and stuff, there is, a section, was the person a veteran? And you would, check off that they were at that point, and then, we'll all work together to make sure that, everything's taken care of.
Okay. Now, let's see. What is the most common reason that people come to see you?
A lot of times people just come in, they're like, I'm a veteran, what am I entitled to? And, and I like those conversations because we can talk it out and see, where they are at this point in their life. I can, find out if they're entitled to benefits, like what those are. And I always tell people it's better to know instead of just wondering, oh, I wonder if I'm entitled to benefits. Or the other frustrating thing is, oh, there's other people that need the benefits more than me, or they don't, they don't ask about the benefits. Because they're entitled to them. You earn them. And
You serve your country,
exactly.
you earn the benefit.
And so, you know, if you don't take advantage of it, that those benefits might start going away. And so for future generations, they're not going to get the benefits if we don't utilize them and show, you know, these are what we need, this is
Okay.
what
Yeah.
we deserve. So, so that's definitely a conversation, and that's something that I definitely try to put out there, because I'd really like, you know, for everyone to at least see, you know, because every benefit has like a criteria or a certain, you know, a caveat that, you know, might qualify for this and not for that. That's why it's best to come in and speak with me, because just going online, it's, you know, it's overwhelming.
It's confusing. It's just confusing doing Social Security, never mind doing veterans.
I know, and people ask me about Social Security. I'm like, I know enough that of what I have to know about. I'm like,
I don't want to know about that.
yeah, exactly.
So the best thing would be for any veteran. Now, what exactly? Let's do a definition of what is a veteran.
Okay, so it can be anywhere from, so during a wartime period, you need to be in, so they have the dates for the wartime periods, and it would be 90 days. And then if...
Oh, what do you mean 90 days? They have to be
active duty for
active duty for
yep.
90 days. Okay.
And if it's during a peacetime, then it's 180.
So they have to be involved in the military for 180 days during peacetime or 90 days during wartime.
Correct.
Okay. So what they call weekend warriors, people that are not on full duty, they still get benefits.
Okay, so that would be the reserves or
Right.
National Guard. So at that point, you know, you'd want to speak with the National Guard and Reserve. I can help look through that and help out with that a little bit, and definitely do the research.
Because a lot of our National Guard and reserves are overseas fighting now.
Exactly, and stuff. And so at that point, they would become active duty, and they would fall
Okay.
under that criteria. So that's the switch. If it, you know, if you hit that active duty switch, that's when things change.
No matter what branch or if you're reserve or National Guard or Army, Air Force, Navy.
Yep. So it's that active duty status.
Okay, so that's what makes the big difference.
Yep.
Now, Memorial Days, we see a lot of things going on around Memorial Day.
Yep.
In fact, I know I have a couple of friends that are vets, and restaurants serve special meals, or they don't charge the vets a lot of times.
Yeah.
For serving for their country. So what other types of things do you come in contact with Memorial Day services?
Well, there are parades in the different towns. Georgetown has a parade starting at 10 o'clock, and they meet at the high school, middle school. And then they march to the public safety building and the War Memorial, finishing at Veterans Park. And so, and it's beautiful when the restaurants do recognize that, and I hope that, you know, they advertise that well.
And that's not, I mean, Georgetown has one, but most of the other towns have something, don't they?
Right.
Most of the other towns. Now, for people to get in touch with you, is there a website other than just the general website? Is there something that you have, or an email address or something for direct contact with your office?
Yep, I can give my email address.
Okay.
It's Essex, ESSEX, vets, VETS, @verizon.net.
Okay, and a phone number.
978-356-3915.
And that's the Ipswich number.
That's correct.
So that's directly to talk to you, as opposed to going through the website and
Oh, yeah.
please go on hold, and then we'll connect you to the next 35 people.
Yep. Nope, this is my office.
Now, how long have you been doing this
I started in July.
with this particular service?
Yep.
And what is your background in, why did you decide to get into this type of job?
I feel very blessed to have this job. I'm an Army vet, and so when I was in the service, I was a mental health specialist, and
Oh, wow.
yeah, and so when I entered the service, it was in August of 2001. So I was in basic training when 9/11 happened, and So, and then I did my advanced training in mental health. But during that time, it didn't prepare you. You're always supposed to be prepared. But I ended up doing a lot of pre-deployment screenings, which wasn't what my main training was while I was in AIT. So I was the one that saw you before you got deployed. And so to be able to help people when they get out of the service, I feel very fortunate to be able to do that. And the other thing was, while I was in the service, I was stationed over in Germany. And so there weren't as many resources as they are here stateside. And I'm like, there are so many resources out there. I can help point you in so many different directions and stuff, and people who have specialties in the different areas. So I just think that, I think it's a beautiful thing. So,
now, what branch did you serve in, and how long were you in?
I was Army, and I was in about 2 years.
Okay. Now, what made you decide to go into the Army?
Well, I was trying to decide between that and the Peace Corps. When I went in,
And you had already finished college?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yep.
Where did you go to school?
I went to Framingham State.
Okay.
So I went to Framingham State for my undergraduate, and then when I got out of the Army, I used my GI Bill to get my master's degree, which I also got at Framingham State College.
Okay.
And that's another benefit that I hope people, know about, is if you go to a Massachusetts State College, you go tuition free. At that point,
Totally free?
Totally free. The tuition, all you have to do is pay for the fees in your books.
That's a huge difference.
Yeah, so between that and my GI Bill, it was fantastic.
And then you decided to go into this as opposed to the Peace Corps because?
Well, I think that a lot of times, I don't know, a lot of times people think of the military and they only have, one idea, The military does a lot of peacekeeping missions also, in addition to, the war that you hear about or that you see on TV. And so that's something that I'd like people to recognize, is that there's a lot more to the military than just the wars you see on TV.
Yeah, it's a lot more than my dad was in World War II.
Yeah.
Which is the type of things that most people think.
Yep.
My dad or my granddad or my uncle or cousin or my friend.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm very proud to be an American. Even when I was a little kid, I won an award for, my little essay in second grade of why I'm proud to be an American. And so I just think that, it's an honor to be able to serve my country. And I don't know, I take it to heart. So.
Wow. I guess we all do too. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for coming and sharing with us.
Sure.
And if people need you, they know where to find you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
It's been very nice to meet you.
Thank you for having me.
I'm Beverly Enos. You're watching Spotlight Georgetown. Don't forget, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Thank you for joining us today. Bye for now.